Alright, what's up dudes, it's Alex Rome here, and I know I've been gone for the past 2 weeks, but that's because I was suffering through finals week. It's the end of the semester at Temple University, and yeah, I had a bunch of finals that I had to put like 100% of my time into, so I haven't had time to make a video. So that's where I've been, which is basically I've been right here, but not been able to make a video. Because videos probably takes like 4 hours for me to make a video, and just didn't have that time to do that. This Slushii project right here was a battle. It was hard because I do not compare to the real version, but I could show you how to get close to it in Logic Pro X. I'm going to play this drop, then I'm going to explain one of the hardest things about making this drop. Alright, let's kind of zoom in on a key figure of this drop, and that's the automation for the sliding parameter in the synthesizer. Let's listen to this. So that sliding thing is a cool automation that we're going to go through. So if you don't know how my videos work, the way they work is I take cool sounding drops and I remake them as best as I could in Logic Pro X with Logic Pro X instruments. I try not to use exactly what they use because I want to use instruments that most people have access to. And I use all stock plugins in Logic besides a couple third-party samples for percussion. Anyway, let's start going through this. So, when I first listened to this drop, I was concentrating on rebuilding the midsection, which the midsection of this drop was hard to get right and hard to mix right. Really hard to mix right. Alright, so I started with this. I shouldn't have though, because it made it really difficult. I started with this sound, which let's go ahead and duplicate it, just because I don't really feel like going through all of those annoying plugins here, but let's go into Alchemy and Clear, and these are just the basic EDM pluck things that people love using for chords, me included. What you want to do is go up to File, Clear, click on A, lower the volume on the oscillator knob, and all we want to do is jack this up, pull the detune down a little bit. We're going to get a sound like this. Oh yeah, well, a sound like that, you know, if you have the right chords to accompany that, but these chords are as popular as they get because they're so simple, and you could pretty much listen to any EDM song and take nice chords like that. They always work, and they're really uplifting. Anyway, we want to make these chords, or these plucks, into plucks. The way I like to do that is I come up to here, to this filter, and I go to one of the stronger ones. I don't know the difference between them, but they do sound different, and I kind of go off of their sound. I right click the cutoff knob, add modulation from the new ADHSR, whatever. Come down here to the new AHDSR, pull down the sustain, pull down the decay a little bit, and it's not going to work yet because I actually forgot to close this. Mind you, it might sound a little spacey and a little weird. It's because I have the direction mixer on. But I like to push everything to the left and right ears. That is not the lead. And that's how I made those chords. Of course, what else I did was for every break, I kind of made space for action that was going to come in between. So I kind of did this in between every break, as you could see. A little tiny thing I want to mention about this project was that I've been struggling. Like, when I listened to the original, I could not mix this, what I have here, to sound exactly as it did in Slushii's version, and it pissed me off so much because I was on this project for the longest time, and it's as simple as can be. It sounds as simple as can be, but I was battling this project for probably around a month. I would open it, decide it didn't sound good enough, so I didn't want to make a video on it. And then, I'd go back, listen to the original, come back here, mess around again. So you're going to see some errors. You're going to see some things like this that just didn't end up working. Some things like whatever this layer is. But yeah, it probably took me a month to mix this to arrive at some, solution that didn't even sound good, perfect to me. I wanted this to sound perfect, sound just as the original did, but it just doesn't. And I don't know. It's like, I don't know what he did, how he mixed it, but this is as close as I could get. And I finally was like, okay, fuck this. I have to make a video on it. It's gonna just sit on my computer forever if I don't, and a waste of all that time. So this is as close as I can get. So I made these mids. Shouldn't have done that. I should have started with percussion first, but I didn't. So the next thing I did was I went and made the leads on top of these chords. That's another error I think I made, because I went from these chords to the leads. I never usually do that. I usually start with drums. The leads are pretty cool. The leads are the reason I went with this song, and the song is To Say Goodbye Premiere by Slushii. The leads are cool. I never heard leads do this. So the actual sound of it is nothing more than a basic saw wave. So to get at a basic saw wave, all I did was this. I just lowered the volume, and that was my sound. Oh yeah. And I did this. This is a key factor. You come over to voices, and you want to re-trigger it as a legato. This is what we ended up automating, this rate knob, how fast or slow it does its thing. And then for some reason Alchemy has this list of numbers. I don't know what they do, but when it's on one, actual legato happens. I don't know what the point of having all these numbers is, because when if you have like a higher number, the legato thing doesn't do normal legato, doesn't do normal bending. So I just put it on one, and yeah, that's how to arrive at this. So we can come down here and just test it real quick. Oh yeah, that's gonna sound like that. The reason for that sounding like that is strictly this. It's all like kind of messing around with the rate knob until it sounds exactly as the original. So that's kind of what the original does. Now let me show you what the notes look like, because this is kind of important too. So to make it bend up, you want to put the first note down low where you want the note to start from, and then the high one is where you want it to go to. But why is this note going to bend up? Why is it going to bend up like that? The reason is because it's on legato, and this top note starts after this first note. So what if I wanted it to bend down? I'd do something like this and make this a little longer so it makes sense, and it would bend down like that, but we want it to bend up just like this. And so all the other parts of this sound, how he made it like do this cool stutter thing, and this is pretty much the main reason I wanted to do this drop, is because he automated the slide, and I never hear guys do that. I never ever hear guys do that, and the idea is as simple as possible. Now, I've heard LFO rate modulation, I hear that regularly, but I've never heard slide rate. And to get to slide, I think you would go to master glide, and then we would do something like this, and then he automated this down, which is so cool because when it goes down, these are like switching really a lot faster than these are in the beginning, and then it just does this nice gradual thing, and then of course you would restart when the melody restarts up to about where you were, and you would do the same thing as such. I'll give you a little idea of what would happen if you didn't really change anything from 0% slide. See, it kind of like is a little weird there, but anyway, that was cool. I thought that was totally cool. So I took that, and mixing this lead in was the worst time I've ever had in my life. I just couldn't get this lead to sit in the mix. Again, maybe it's because I started wrong and finished wrong when I made the drop, but I took a totally dry layer and I layered it with a really wet layer. Same automation, of course, and I arrived at that lead. Of course, I did sidechain compress and add a little bit of OTT on the main lead. A little bit of OTT, I believe. I don't think maybe I did kill it, but I took all the lows out. I thought maybe I had a little less depth than 100%, but yeah, not the case here. So, moving on. Okay, this mean bass line. That bass line is so big, I think you can use it in any genre of music you want and it'll sound big. This is basically just a sine wave with the arpeggiator function in Alchemy. Totally easy. This is totally easy stuff. I want to show you something cool. Something that I just kind of started messing around with. Alchemy has a pretty versatile little arpeggiator tool. Okay, so we got some reverb over here. I need to turn off that. And I will show you how I arped this. What I did was I came down to mode, chord, and I made a little arp like that. But then you can actually mess around with how long or short you want the note to actually be. So if we do it long, it'll be really small breaks in between each note. Or we could do it like really short. So cool. Stuff is so awesome. So that is how to do that. And then, of course, I layered it with this, which makes this bass line totally roar as it does in the original. So let's go through this bass line and make our own bass line that sounds similar to this. Hint, hint. I did end up using the arpeggiator. So let's come into Alchemy and mess around with this synth until we arrive at what I made. So going to A, and the first guy I like to do is kind of the main saw, which sounds like that. That was so loud. Immediately we want to tighten up that release. Turn off some reverb. And so I like to jump right into the ARP and then shape it from here. And we're going to do the same thing, just mode chord. Then we're going to go to B and make the layer of this, which is kind of like a messier layer. And by that I mean bam. Like that, but we need to lower it a little. I mean, come on, we're not this messy. So we'll get something like that, layer that on top of that sub bass, and bam, you got a big bass line. Let me show you something cool though. A little EQing tip from Kashmir. I found the greatest tutorial of all time on Kashmir. He does his 30 hertz, or he does his sub bass cuts up to 120, which I think is crazy. For a layer of bass like this, he'll cut it 120 hertz. Whereas me, I cut it somewhere up to 160. I'll usually do, but he does 120. And I'm thinking maybe that's where I'm wrong. So now I'm going to do all my bass layers, give them all 120 hertz cuts instead of 160 hertz cuts. Maybe fill out this area a little better, because this is, after all, an area I struggle to get, sound. Anyway, moving on. So this is just a clap reverb looped, and to give me that big white noise sound, because the original has this white noise ringing that I've never heard before, and it was hard to, remake, but that's not really exciting at all. I want to show you somewhere where I just sucked. Oh yeah, that is a snare from Splice. I just spliced, a bunch of cool sounds and found this snare, because he uses a dubstep snare. I don't want to use any ultra beat for that snare. Kick, likewise, I got from Splice. Nothing really cool about that. There's a ghost kick, however, and that is for sidechaining. Alright, there we go. And what else? I think that's everything. Oh, look at me. I finished this video. I didn't even realize. And of course, I had a crash snare just to fill up the high end. Now, before I end this video, let me just see how long I've been going. Okay, before I end this video, I want to mention that a couple things that made this drop pop more was obviously some hard multi-band compression. And what I did is I took the preset heavy-handed 6-band squeeze, and of course this is just Fab Filter. I mean, not a lot of you might have this, but the idea is I took a multi-band compressor and compressed this really hard, and to get some of the high-end ringing, I use a little bit of OTT-UC at 55%. I use that actually after the multiband, I guess, to clean up whatever the multiband missed, and all this kind of contributed to making this drop pop. The original version is really like precision compression that I hear in the drop that I could not do to save my life. I was trying for such a long time, but precision compression. So what I learned from this drop that I really want to pass on to you guys is learn compression and learn mixing as best as you can, because it's not that easy. Like, I listened to this, a simple drop, as simple as this song, and the only thing I was missing, I knew how to do everything, but what I was missing was the compression skill and the mixing skill that went into this. So there you go, guys. That's how I made this drop. It was hard, but it's always a blast. And until next time, my name's Alex Rome. Stay tuned for more awesomeness.